Okay, so compound interest, this rule is not something you need to memorize. It is on your formula sheets. It also tells you what A, P, R, and N are on your formula sheets. Okay, so what is A?
Right.
The amount of money at the end. P is the principal, which is the initial investment or the initial loan. R is interest rate expressed as a decimal, preferably percentage. Fraction I can cope, just don't leave it as a percentage. And N is number of periods of time. Now, with simple interest, we looked a little bit about R and N being the same. With compound interest, they really need to be, R and N, you need to be really careful. Okay, now we know what compound interest is. We've been looking at that over the years. It's where we earn interest on our interest. So we calculate interest at the end of each period. That money is put in our account, and then the next period they calculate the interest on the total. So it gets a little bit bigger every time. We're just going to use the rule. We're not going to torture you with making you do 1 period, 2 periods, and then working them out all together. The basic questions are really simple. So if I gave you a really easy example, I reckon you could do it without my help. So if I just said, if I invest $800 for 3 years at 2.8% per annum compounded annually, I reckon you could do it without my help. So tell me, what would I have to do? Oh, I'm going to find... Oops, I'll tell you what to find. Let's say find the interest. So what do I do to start?
Put it into the formula.
What goes where? So I know I'm going to start with A equals. What's P going to be?
$800.
That's my principal investment, $800. Okay, in my brackets I have 1 plus R. What's that going to be?
0.028.
1 plus, yep, 0.028.
Or you can do 1.0.
Exactly. I actually prefer to do that. As you know, I'm lazy when it comes to typing these in the calculator. I'm writing 1 plus 0.028. Well, that's way too many buttons. I press 1.028 because that's even less buttons to press. Okay, we're going to go super lazy here. And how many years have I got?
3.
3 years. Now, if I had a calculator, which I currently don't, I would grab a calculator and I would type it in, and someone's magically going to give me the answer.
I got it.
Type it as fast as you can. Mackenzie, pay attention. What do we get?
869.
Now it's money. So it's money. So how many decimal places?
2.
2?
Well, $869 and 10 cents.
10 cents? Okay, we're going to do the same question, but this time I'm going to change. Oh no, I'm not done. That's not the answer, is it?
No,
Why not?
because you need to find the interest. Not
Because the
total.
question asks for the interest, and that's the total amount in the account. What would the interest be?
$69.10.
$69.10. Okay, because you just got to take off the initial investment. Now I want you to do exactly the same question. We're going to change one word. Okay, this word here. What if I change annually to monthly? Okay, so let's try again using monthly instead. Okay, so exactly the same question, but we're changing monthly. What changes in my question? Does P change?
No.
No. So I'm still going to calculate with 800 here. What about my R?
Yeah.
My interest rate is for a whole year.
Yeah.
I can only do 1 month at a time. So what am I going to divide by? 12. Because you would only get 1/12 of the interest each month. So instead of having 0.028, I have 0.028 divided by 12. Is everyone happy with that? Because I can't earn the whole year's interest each month. Because remember this, everything must change to monthly. So I must change my R to monthly and my N to monthly. So this was my whole year's interest rate. So if I divide it by 12, it gives me 1 month's interest rate. Are we happy with that? Yep. What about n? What was n again?
You get an extra $1.
No, but you're on the right track.
What?
N is the number of periods, isn't it? So it's not the number of years anymore, it's the number of months. So if I had 3 years,
3 times 12.
3 times 12, which is
36.
36. Okay, so what's happened? Shh. Because my interest period is smaller, months are smaller than years, my interest rate is smaller, but I have more periods, okay? There are more months in 3 years than there are years, okay? I grab a calculator, someone else grabs a calculator because I don't have one, and I type it in, what do we get? 8.70 and 2 cents.
8.72. So you gain about $1.
So this time my interest was $70.02. Okay, so it is slightly more interest. I mean, obviously we're not talking about huge amounts of money here. It's only $800. But if it was $8,000, you'd be looking at a bit more difference. And the longer you invest it, the more this changes, okay? So even on this small amount of money invested at a very small interest rate for a small amount of time, we can see that you get more interest when it's monthly rather than annually. Okay? We're going to do it one more time. Alright, this time we're going to replace the word with quarterly. Okay, exactly the same question, exactly the same amount of money. We're going to change it to quarterly. I want you to tell me what would change this time. Okay, so this was my monthly. Now this is quarterly. So if I'm investing quarterly, I have A equals 800 doesn't change. 1 plus, what am I going to do to the interest rate this time? I'm going to divide by 4 because I don't get the whole year's interest, I just get a quarter of the year's interest. So this number is divided by 4. N is the number of periods. It's not the number of years, it's the number of quarters. In 3 years, how many quarters do I have? 12, because there's 4 each year. I grab a calculator, I type it in, what do I get?
$869.85.
$8.69, was it 85 cents? So my interest was $69.85. Which, as we expect, is a little bit more than yearly, but a little bit less than if it's done monthly. Okay, is everyone understanding how we get our N and our R the same every time? Yeah. That's really important. And it always goes off what they tell you it's compounding. It doesn't matter if they give these both in years. If they tell you to do it monthly, you have to change it to monthly. So even if they're already matching, okay, because remember simple interest was just about getting them to match. Compound interest is different. Doesn't matter if they already match, you must change it to whatever compounding period they tell you to. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, the only other thing they can do with compound interest is just like with simple interest, is we can solve an equation to find something else. So for example, they might tell me the total value at the end, but I've got to work out how much was invested.
Miss, when's the lockdown?
I don't know.
They're locked down.
Okay? I don't know.
Today?
I don't know. Okay? So, let's say I need $10,000 in 4 years. Okay? What that tells me is I know the final value. The final value of my investment needs to be $10,000 in 4 years. So maybe I have some overseas trip planned or something, and I need $10,000 in 4 years. I'm going to study at uni or something for the next 4 years. I can invest it at an interest rate of, let's say, I don't know, 4.5%. If I invest at, what did I say, 4.5%, compounded. What do we want to compound this time? Let's go monthly. Monthly, what do I need to invest? Okay, finding out what you invest now, that P is sometimes called the present value. Okay, so you might sometimes call this the present value of your investment rather than the word principal. So I'm trying to work out what is the present value, what is it worth right now if I need $10,000 in 4 years' time. So this means that in my equation, the $10,000 is not the P, okay? It's the A. So that gives me an equation. I'm going to put 10,000 over here. I don't know what P is. That's what I've got to figure out. 1 plus, what's R going to be? So it's 4.5% as a decimal, that is 0.045. But that's for a whole year. I'm doing it monthly, so I'm going to divide by 12. Now, how many months do I have? So it's 4 years. 4 12s are 48. Alright, any ideas on what I'm going to do now?
Do the bit just after the bracket.
Okay, excellent idea. See this section here? I'm going to grab a calculator. I'm going to work out what that number is. So the bit that I've circled, Mackenzie, the bit that I've circled in green, I want you to pick up a calculator and type that in. We're good with that? So type that section in the calculator. What do we get? Someone got a calculator for me?
Yeah, 1.19681.
1.1968.
14377.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay? So I have 10,000 equals P times this number. How do I get the P on its own? Someone said the right answer? Divide. So I need to divide by this number. So on your calculator, you're going to do 10,000 divided by answer. Use the answer button rather than typing that in. Okay? What do we get for P? Which is 10,000 divided by that answer. You did it wrong. No, that's okay. $8,355.51. Okay? So this tells me that I would need to invest $8,355.51 right now, so that in 4 years' time, I will have exactly $10,000 ready to go for whatever I plan to spend. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is what my present value is. This is the money I require now. All right, we're going to look at exercise 1103. It's on page 490 of your textbooks. We're going to look at every second question. Again, there's 12 questions. So your choice if you do odds or evens. Let's give it a go.